Welcome to Chamber Media Tutorials. I'm J.R. Timothy, comedy genius at Chamber Media, and I'm here with my good friend,
Tyler.
Tyler, you are a fantastic editor with so much experience, and you have to know some of the tricks and mistakes that people make when it comes to editing really successful commercial video. Right?
I don't know so much about the talented part, but I do have a lot of experience. About 15 years as a professional editor, but there are certain things that I have picked up on over the years that I would love to share. The very first thing I'm gonna talk about, and the most boring thing that I'm gonna talk about, is file structure. Basically, if you're in the creative field, you are terrible at anything with structure.
Stop it, Tyler, I'm bored.
I know. What I will say about file structure, it's not going to make your editing any better or any worse. What it will do is it will save you hours of having to redo stuff, because in ads, it's all about reiterations, changing things, tweaking things, and if you have to go back and redo a graphic or an edit or anything like that, it is going to cost you so much time, and time is money.
20 minutes later.
Get off your soapbox and get to the real edit.
Let's get to the nitty-gritty. Utilize high-res footage to save yourself a lot of headache when you're actually filming. Go ahead and shoot in that 4K, and then make your project setting 1920 by 1080, and that gives you the full spectrum. You can just drop your footage in there, scale it down to 32%, 50%, whatever it is. And then if you want to cut in, if you want to punch in, get your close-ups, you can just do that digitally. You can fight me in the comments, but there is no need to ever export and upload 4K footage for a video ad. Hooks is my next thing. A hook, especially as an editor, it's very easy. Even if you didn't think about making a hook from the beginning, even if you didn't write it in, you weren't clever about it, the very first frame of your video, put a keyframe in, move it 4 frames forward, move the scale up 20%. All of a sudden, you have a zoom that starts your video, and you have an instant hook.
And especially if you do that with 4K footage and you're editing on 1080p, you can scale it down to the 33.3%, whatever the scale is, and then you can punch into 100% and you don't lose any quality.
Exactly. The next thing piggybacking off that hook is punch-ins. Your video should be changing every 2 to 3 seconds. It sounds ADD, it sounds hyperactive. When I first started making ads, it drove me nuts as an editor. They seemed so unnecessary. But realistically, when you look at the data and look what converts and what keeps watch time up, every 2, 3, 4 seconds, be putting in a cut. And that can be just simply a push in, push out.
Put in a cut.
Hey! It tricks the brain. Honestly, that's all it is. It tricks the brain into seeing something new, and every single time you see something new, your brain has to reassess it. It's just survival lizard brain tendency.
So add a lot of cuts.
Cut it up. Next one is, it's too slow. One of the harshest pieces of advice I ever got in film school, but one of the best, is nobody cares. Nobody cares, and nobody thinks it's as cool as you do.
I'm here to tell you right now, we don't care.
Especially if you shoot your own footage, you think the shot's cool, so you think the shot should stay in. Always remember, nobody cares. Keep it short.
An example of this, we made our own internal chamber ad, and we did a shot that I thought was cool. Our DP thought it was cool. Our talent thought it was cool. All right, it was for our Matrix ad, and I made 2 cuts of this because realized that it was not cool and nobody cared.
Nobody cares.
We did a shot. We showed someone walking down the hallway. We got a shot of the feet going, and we're like, yeah, this is cool. And then watching in the whole thing, we're like, wow, that is seconds that we wasted, and people have scrolled away because we didn't get to it. It wasn't hooky enough.
Absolutely. We are making ads. We're not making art. I know it sounds bad, but you don't sell out. You just buy in.
Yeah, that was really clever. You just thinking that?
No, it's from SLC Punk.
Keep that in mind.
Another tip to help the too slow feel is really get in on your audio wave when you're editing. So if you look at your audio track and you have your waveform where you can physically see where the volume's coming. You want to make your cuts right as that uptick comes in at that audio wave. A lot of editors, even experienced editors, they'll leave natural kind of breathe room and breathe pacing in between cuts. That is the enemy of your ad. That is the enemy of attention online.
Just get the information out. You don't have time to take a breath. You just got to fire it all out.
The age-old jump cut is not so much of a snafu anymore.
Yeah.
When I first started editing, jump cuts were not appropriate. It was not something, it was very amateur.
Yeah.
With YouTube and vlog editing, we've gotten used to just spitfire audio. I'm sure we're probably using this editing technique in this video right now.
You have seen so many jump cuts.
Exactly. Every commercial that I've ever edited, I've made the cut and then I've gone through, and my next step is literally to just tighten it up. That just keeps the pacing. And you would be amazed how even in a 60-second ad, a good cut that you think is fine, and then when you go back in and tighten it and trim the fat, you're scrubbing off 4 or 5 seconds totaled up of just 5 frames here, 10 frames there. You always want to have your video almost just kind of right in front of the comfort level of the viewer. They're always just kind of chasing that attention, so they never really have enough time to fully process and get bored with it.
4 or 5 seconds is more than enough time for people to scroll away and swipe from it. Right? You could swipe away twice.
Yeah, I mean, when you literally get down to how many milliseconds somebody watches something before scrolling, you're talking about fractions of a second. It really is how the brain functions, and it really helps keeping people interested.
Trust us. We have been doing this for 7 years, and we've learned this.
I'm having trouble hearing you.
Nobody's talking to you, Siri.
Yeah, Siri, shut up.
All right, the last and final thing that any editor should be checking is the final audio. It's not just a matter of if things in the piece are mixed. You want to make sure that you know what the final export audio level is. Everybody is experienced when somebody hasn't done this. Everybody's watched an ad that all of a sudden you had to turn your computer up on full volume to hear, and then the next ad rolls, and then you think you blew out your eardrums because the next ad is so unbelievably loud. That is an annoying thing. It's something that you don't think of as an editor because you're only hearing it start to finish. But you need to realize that when somebody watches this, they're seeing it out in the wild. It's mixed in with everything else. So if they're watching their nice YouTube videos or music videos or whatever they're doing at a comfortable volume, and then all of a sudden your ad comes in and you jacked it up super loud because you edited it and not realizing that you were on half volume and it sounded good in your headphones. But now you're just going to deafen anybody that sees your ad.
And they're going to remember you for the wrong reasons.
Exactly. I mean, think about how horrible that is. How much money you can lose on ad spend in production just because when your video plays, it plays at full volume and the first reaction is somebody to hurry up and scroll so they don't have to listen to it anymore.
Oh my gosh, it's so loud. That's exactly what happens.
You could have a horrible watch time, no conversions, no return on ad spend, only because you have improper audio final mixing.
Cue toilet flushing sound effect and money just going down the toilet.
All right, I think that's enough. These are some of the biggest pitfalls, but I think there's some of the pitfalls that people don't think about. These are things that can just make your video better, especially when it comes to the ad realm. These are things that help with conversions.
All right, use these tips. Everything you said, it's all true. It's all factual. Trust us.
JR guarantees it. Money back guarantee with JR's paycheck.
You know what? I can almost guarantee that. Bonus tip. After you finish editing a video, when you're the editor, you can sometimes get some blinders on and you can become oblivious. So I would say if you spend a day editing, turn the computer off, sleep on it, come back the next day, watch it, and then you might find some things you're like, oh, why did I do that? That is really slow. let me change that.
Yeah.
And you'll always find something better. So give it the night rest test.
That's a good take. You might do a final export at 2 o'clock in the morning.
Look at it one more time.
Catch those things that you didn't catch the night before,
Yeah.
and then go in.
But Tyler, thank you so much for sharing that information with us. And thank you for watching. Be sure to like and comment below. We're a full service ad agency. We will talk about everything and anything that you want in regards to your commercial and making awesome videos that convert. All right, we'll talk about ad management. We'll talk about production. We'll talk about post-production like we did today. We'll talk about how to get actors and what equipment to use. Just comment it below what you want us to talk about next and we will do it. Here's all this awesome information. Now take it and go make something awesome.
Go make something awesome!
Yeah, bye.